Would you like to learn from those that are taking their lives, their businesses, and their passions to the next level? Best-selling author of Speakeasy and master connector Lou Diamond is here to connect you to some of the most inspiring and amazing people on this planet. Get ready to thrive loud with Lou Diamond.
Heading down south to the land of the pines. I'm thumbing my way into North Carolina, staring up the road and pray to God I see headlights.
Welcome everyone to another spectacular episode of Thrive Loud with Lou Diamond, connecting you to the most inspiring and amazing people that are thriving each and every day. I'm your host, Lou Diamond, and today on Thrive Loud, we have a fellowship-trained pediatric neurosurgeon who is the director of pediatric neurosurgery at McGovern Medical School at the University of Texas Health Science Center at Houston, known as UT Health. His memoir, Brain and Heart, describes the joy and heartbreak, uncertainty, and physical and emotional challenges that come with performing brain surgery on children. Thrive Loud listeners and viewers, bringing you someone that truly thrives loud, Dr. David Sandberg. David, welcome to Thrive Loud.
Thank you so much for having me on your show, Lou. I'm honored.
I'm even more honored, one, because I learned you went to high school with my wife, which is kind of a cool thing. You have a very impressive family, which we're not going to talk about because we want to make this episode all about you. Well,
you married very well.
This we know. I definitely stepped up my game. But what I will say, Dr. David, is that what you're doing is unbelievable stuff. And I think as I read through the intro here, anyone that has to go through a child having to have neurosurgery is a scary initiative. So what I kind of want to understand is a little bit about you and how this became your work. If we could, I don't want to rewind all the way to the womb, but I kind of want to understand how this became your focus and how you decided maybe to share a little bit of your career and story with the world and why you did so.
I've always wanted to be a doctor ever since I was a little kid. My dad was an ophthalmologist, just retired actually after 50 years. When I was in high school and college, he took me on some medical missions to the Dominican Republic, Jamaica, and Antigua, where I saw things that people shouldn't see, people blind from curable diseases. I was inspired and I was like, this is an amazing way to spend your life helping people. I went to college and medical school. I kind of stumbled upon neurosurgery and then became passionate about treating children with brain tumors and other neurosurgical conditions. Wound up being especially passionate about treating children instead of adults, and became a pediatric neurosurgeon. And it's been an incredible ride.
Obviously, becoming a surgeon already puts you at a certain level of expertise and training over the years that you've had. But to make the decision to work with children, obviously, is not only noble, but also has a lot of emotional tugs and pulls on it, I would imagine, because there's nothing worse than seeing any child not well. I guess I want to understand, in doing that work, which is so important, what was helping someone extend their lives, or what made you focus so much in the pediatric space over any other neurosurgery area that you could focus in on?
You know, it's not for everybody. You have to be a little bit tough and, internally tough to be able to have horrible conversations with families. I mean, for those of you listeners who have children, imagine a conversation in which you have to tell someone that their child has died or their child has a brain tumor. It's horrible. On the other hand, there's nothing more compelling to me than a child with a serious illness. As a parent, I'm upset when my kid has a cold and doesn't feel well and, has a fever. And imagine something 1,000 times more serious. But I'm drawn to those situations somehow. Somebody has to do it, and it might as well be me. I want to do it as well as I possibly can, and I take great pride in those interactions.
David, you decided to write a memoir, and I love to kind of understand what kicked things off to do that. What made you say, I want to share my story, I want to share it, and maybe more interestingly, I want to know, who is it for? who's going to benefit from reading your story?
Yeah. So in terms of the decision to write it, there are a number of things that went into it. Number one is an accumulation over the years of crazy stories about patients that I felt like somebody's got to hear these stories. They have to be put down on paper. The other is just a perspective that there are many books written from the patient's perspective, few that actually let you into the mind of your doctor. When I have these very challenging conversations or have a surgical complication or other difficult situations, I choose my words very carefully, but the thoughts that go through my brain I think would be very interesting to patients and families. So to answer your question of who the book is for, I think first it's for families of patients with serious medical conditions. It doesn't even have to be neurosurgical, and it doesn't even have to be a child, to let you inside the mind of your doctor or your child's doctor. The other is for medical trainees, students, even high school students, college students who are trying to figure out, is a career in medicine for them? Is a career in neurosurgery or some specialty like neurosurgery for them? Is this what you're cut out to do? And then broadly, for the general public, it's people who are interested in just kind of crazy, interesting medical stories.
Yeah. David, I want to break a stereotype here. I think whether it's through televisions or movie, surgeons have always had this, like they have to have this very hard skin, or in many cases, maybe not even make that connection with patients or the families because that's the role of what you have to do. You have to really get focused on what you deal with, and balancing that physical and emotional piece as a doctor is a challenge. Based on what I'm feeling from you and just your natural empathy, that doesn't seem to be the case. It seems like you have something that's focused on it, but I'm sure you've come across that. In putting up, the front and having to have the very difficult conversations, it's got to be weighing on you over these years. And I'm sure the stories, while some fun and crazy and worth hearing, I would love to hear at least how you personally are able to bifurcate the ability to, get what job needs to be done and balance the emotion that goes along with the work you do.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I hate stereotypes. There are, of course, some surgeons who are jerks. There are people in every field who are jerks. But the majority of neurosurgeons I work with are passionate and dedicated and care deeply. I think particularly on the pediatric side, we pediatric subspecialists tend to be a little softer. We love children, etc. I'd be lying if I would tell you that difficult conversations affect me as much as it affects the people I'm talking to, the parents, the siblings, the patient. But I would also be lying if I would tell you that it didn't affect me at all. If it doesn't affect you at all, you might want to choose a different career. When I have a difficult conversation, and I've had the most difficult that you can imagine with a family, I definitely internalize it. I take it home. I might hug my kids a little harder when I see them that night. I don't tell them why usually. I kind of keep it to myself, often because it's not appropriate to share, and often just because I keep some things bottled up inside. But it definitely affects me.
I want to go there. You personally, obviously, there's only so much you could keep bottled up inside. Have you sought, ways of talking it out, those stressful things? Because it is a hard piece of it, and it obviously, and specific over the last 15, 20 years, we realize the importance of our mental well-being, and those professionals within that. Has that been an avenue you've checked out to make sure, you're okay too, and moving forward with the work you do?
It's not something I need to do. I can handle these conversations. They affect me. But I'm strong and I'm resilient, and this is what I was meant to do.
Yeah, I love that perspective on it. I love asking content creators. These are from people who are speakers or authors, produce great things that the world can share. You're giving a gift out in the world with this content for all the reasons you've just shared, what Brain and Heart is to the world and what we're getting the benefit from that. But every single author that I've ever spoken to has a happy accident, a gift in return that they get for creating that piece of content. Peter, what has been maybe the gift you've received in putting Brain and Heart out into the world?
I think the biggest gift, well, there are so many, but one gift is reconnecting with family, well, not family, but with friends from around the country from way back when, from high school, from college, from medical school, from sports teams, because as I've gone around the country, speaking at different venues about the book, I've reconnected with different friends, and I get to, meet them for meals, and it's been spectacular. I think the other thing is the feedback that I've gotten from the book. This is deeply meaningful to families of patients that I've treated. And, to hear from them how much the words that I've written down mean to them. I get a lot of emails and phone calls telling me I was in tears, but I was uplifted and I was so moved by what you wrote. And, that's a huge honor. So those are the things, reconnecting with friends and, hearing that what I wrote actually affected people.
Yeah. David, I'd love to learn your process. Was the writing process for you a very regimented, scheduled thing, or is it something you've been piecing together over the years? Coalescing Brain and Heart, what was that process like for you?
Definitely not a regimented thing, because regiment is not possible in pediatric neurosurgery. I'm dealing with emergencies and surgeries and clinics. When I had free time, when I had things to write about, I would write. And I put together the book over about a year and a half or 2 years. I would get an idea and I would feverishly write if I had the time to do it, or I would write myself a note, write about this when you have time. And that's what I would do. But it was very piecemeal.
Yeah. It's interesting. I've never gotten the same answer twice on that question, David, because it's unbelievable. Some people are like, I need to be on a schedule, I need to put it out, and other people it's comes to them as they deal with it. Let's do this. I want to do the admin part of the show, and then we're going to have a fun version of Fun Street here. Share with the listeners where people can learn about you, where they can get Brain and Heart, websites, URLs. We'll put it in the show notes. It gets more engagement when they hear it from you.
Well, you can get Brain and Heart in your local bookstore. One of the most fun things for me was before the first book event in New York, I walked into a Barnes & Noble and purchased my own book. That was amazing. And of course, you can get it on the usual websites. It's being distributed. The publisher is Pegasus Books. It's being distributed through Simon & Schuster. You can get it on their website. And of course, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, the usual book websites.
Perfect. All right, Dr. David Sandberg, you're here on Thrive Loud for all the reasons we just came up with, but now we want to learn a little bit more about you. I'm going to ease you on to what we call the Fun Street here, where we learn all the things that matter most to Dr. David Sandberg. So I want to start off with a question that I don't think you were thinking I'm going to ask, but I'll hit you with it. Does Dr. David Sandberg have an all-time favorite movie?
Yeah, probably When Harry Met Sally. I've watched that movie with my wife about 20 times, and that would probably be my favorite.
Did you meet your wife? Was she your very good friend beforehand, and then you guys realized you were friends first?
We met no, not at all, but we met on an airplane, and we never had a friendship before our romance. We just had romance from the beginning.
I like it. All right, here we go. First things that come to mind, things that matter the most to Dr. David Sandberg. Here we go. Of late, a song that maybe you've been listening to, or one that pumps you up, or maybe a song that you listen to before you go into surgery or while you're performing surgery.
I don't listen to any songs right before surgery. And no particular song inspires me, but I like the song Wagon Wheel by Darius Rucker, and I've been listening to that once in a while. So.
I love it. Big fan of Darius Rucker. I saw him when he was with Hootie and the Blowfish at Jones Beach, and it was a lot of fun. Everyone kept calling him Hootie.
Yeah.
Anyway, a favorite food that is not a dessert.
Hot dog, for sure.
Oh, wow. I love when doctors eat unhealthy. It's awesome. A favorite dessert.
Favorite dessert. Rum raisin ice cream is up there. And I love tiramisu.
An activity you wish you did more of.
Scuba diving. I only get to do it about once a year.
An activity you wish you did less of.
Meetings.
Are they Zoom meetings or are they in-person meetings that you're dealing with?
They're both. I like Zoom meetings better because I can do other things at the same time.
Right now he's doing his emailing while he's on the show.
I'm doing nothing else right now.
A new activity that Dr. David Sandberg has recently tried that you liked so much that you want to tell everybody else to try.
Boxing.
Oh, really? As a workout or in like a competition?
as a workout, not as a competition. I wouldn't let anybody punch me, and I wouldn't punch anybody.
It is the best workout. I worked with a boxing trainer years back, and my arms were jello after every single one of those sessions, but it was awesome. Best cardio. If I could snap my fingers and Dr. David Sandberg could be anywhere in the world, where is he?
This might not be your typical answer. Two competing possibilities. One would be on some gorgeous beach, hanging out with my wife and children. The other would be, I'm passionate about helping other people. So, in Haiti or Uganda or some poor country, helping children with neurosurgical conditions.
See, this is why I love having people like Dr. David Sandberg on the show. I mean, they're literally thinking about how they could change the world and help the world every single day, which is why you're here today. Dr. David Sandberg, everybody go check this out, Brain and Heart, and where you could find everything there. Truly an honor to connect with you here today, man. This was great, and thank you for what you're doing, the gift you're giving to the world in the book, and obviously in the work you're doing and helping so many children around the world.
So nice talking to you, Lou, and thank you for having me on your podcast.
Truly a pleasure. To all our listeners out there, thank you for joining us. Until next time, keep moving onward and upward, and remember, be brief, be bright, be done.
I wanna feel, hey, mama, mama, rock me, rock me, mama, like the wind and the rain. I wanna run like a southbound train, hey, yeah,
You've been listening to Thrive Loud with your host, Lou Diamond. Check us out on the web at thriveloud.com and follow us on Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook at Thrive Loud. And check us out on the Good Pods app at Thrive Loud, where you can follow, listen, and connect directly to Lou and all of the Thrive Loud episodes. Thanks for listening.